Hi, and welcome to TalkRx with Dr. Neha. Today, I am with Pam. She's an interior designer. Actually, you've had a few different careers.
I have, yes. I get bored easily.
She gets bored easily and she changes careers. So if any of you can resonate with that. But today, Pam is joining us. She's a brave soul willing to ask her question in communication so that all of you can learn. So thank you, Pam, and welcome.
Thank you.
So what have you been thinking about? What communication question?
Well, I have had, over the past couple of years, two very dear and long-term friendships which have come to an abrupt halt.
Okay.
And obviously, I must have said or done something that has offended both of these people, and I've been very close to them. Both of them I almost regarded as sisters. But they won't tell me, they won't communicate with me what exactly it was that I said or did. Mm-hmm. So I have tried to apologize, even though I didn't really know what I was apologizing for. Mm-hmm. And I've continued to communicate with them, send them birthday cards and emails, and I've been cut off. And it's frustrating. I don't know where you go when they won't communicate.
So first of all, that's got to be so painful.
It's hurtful, yes.
Yeah.
And it's sad.
Yeah. And where do you feel that? If you physically could feel it in your body, right? Like your body, even as you're telling it right now, can you feel your heart racing, your stomach churning, tightness of your muscles, shallow breathing, anything like that?
In your chest.
Okay, in your chest, you feel it. And what does it feel like?
It feels like you're constricted.
Okay, so you feel this constricted sensation in your chest, which often actually happens. It's like a guarding, right? So a tightening, a constricting. So that's your first clue that something's really important to you, and you can feel it in your body, right? Now, are you somebody who is outgoing, or are you somebody who stays more reserved?
I think I can be both. I think people are always surprised when I say I'm an introvert, but I think I really am, because people are not where I get my energy from, but I can be very social and I enjoy people, but I do need time alone to recharge.
Now, it also sounds like these people were really important to you. Tell me why they were important to you. What did you get from those relationships?
Well, when you've had a friend for a long time, you invariably go through ups and downs in life with them. We've had sick parents. One of them lost her brother to suicide that we went through together. I've lost a child.
Yeah.
All of us have lost parents.
Yeah.
And I think when you're close friends in those sort of situations, you support each other and, you care for each other and you call and you do whatever you can. And so it's interesting that having been so close, it seems so strange that it suddenly evaporates.
It's gone.
And there was no major happening that I can tell that caused it.
Right. So how would you describe your style of communication?
Oh, blunt.
So you're an introvert that when you've got something to say, you're pretty blunt about it.
Yes, I have to really guard against what pops into my head shouldn't necessarily come out of my mouth.
It's that frontal lobe inhibition, right?
Yes.
And so that's not really how you work.
But at the same time, in this one particular instant, I wrote an email and I was very careful, because I think when you write, sometimes it can be misconstrued so much more easily than if you're speaking to someone.
Absolutely. So let's take a minute and kind of break that out. So when I'm communicating with you right now, how am I doing it? Tell me the different ways that I'm doing it.
Well, eye contact.
Yep. So body language. Right? My arms, gestures.
Yeah, verbally. And also the nuances of your voice.
So tone, as well as the words that I'm saying.
Yes.
So body language, tone, and words. Okay. When you write someone an email, because this person's obviously very important to you, both of these people are, sometimes when emotions start flying, in order to kind of gain control over what's happening in ourselves and in the conversation, people write emails. Now, when I'm in person, you have body language, tone, and words. When I'm on the phone with you, okay, so it would be a little bit like this. Hi, Pam, what's up?
Yes, so you've got mainly tone, yes.
Now you have tone and words.
Yes.
Right? Now, if I'm writing an email and someone's receiving an email, how are they receiving message from me? How am I communicating?
Just words, really.
Just words. Now, what matters is the tone that I say something to you changes the meaning nearly entirely, right? It can make it be a 180. I can say, oh, Pam? Oh. Or I can say, oh, Pam. Right? Like,
Yes.
the same words, but or I could say it in a way, so I did surprised and skeptical with you just now. The tone could change where I would say, oh, Pam, and now I could be angry. But in an email, all someone sees is, oh, Pam.
Right.
And they get to interpret the intonation, the body language, the tone. They get to make up anything they want. Because, from your email, no matter how you actually wrote it, with what intention you wrote it. Make sense?
Yes.
So that's the first thing I tell you, which is if this broke off after an email, right, if that was the final correspondence, it may be difficult because this person may have interpreted something you didn't mean. Okay. The second important piece of this is to get really clear about you traveled through time with them. You think of these two people as sisters. Did this experience happen together or did it happen separately?
No, several years apart.
Several years apart. Tell me what was similar about the two experiences.
The fact that although we had shared a lot of confidences and I felt very close to both of them, that neither of them felt they could come to me and say, look, this is what you did that hurt me or upset me.
Yeah.
I found that
curious, right?
Yes.
Wow, that's interesting. So what's interesting too is you say blunt, right?
Yeah.
Very clearly. And so it also sounds like you said at the end, nothing big happened, right? So what I wonder is if along the way there were some small things that happened that, and I'm just making it up because I don't know, but if there might have been some small instances that along the way caused the last or final straw to be something that didn't seem so significant.
That's entirely possible.
Right? And I think there's a way, if you could say anything to them, what would you say?
I would say that I care about them. I still am incredibly sad about the end of the relationship and that it was never my intention at all to hurt either of them.
And would you also be curious about how you might be able to, that you'd still be open to re-engaging in their relationship? Would
yes,
you? Yeah,
I would be, yes.
And would you be curious about how maybe you can show up differently as well? Like how you might be able to connect to them in times when they might have felt vulnerable, right? Or there might be something that you guys can kind of work out together as a new way of being together, being more sensitive with each other, right?
Right.
Because it seems like you didn't hear anything, and cut off. You know what's interesting? That's blunt.
No, that is blunt, yes.
And you got the experience of sometimes what blunt might feel like.
Well, I know, I mean, I'm very aware of the fact that I'm very sometimes too straight with my answers and too quick.
Yeah.
So I try, and I don't always succeed. I have to be the first one to admit that. But I think when somebody does something that offends me, even though I find it really hard sometimes, I do try and take them aside and say, look, can we just go over what happened, because whatever was said here, I felt was a misconstruction of whatever happened, or that what you said really upset me because of so and so.
Right.
And I find it so interesting that that doesn't happen. And I find it, then I feel like I'm at a dead end. Because where do I go from here?
Yeah.
You know, I have continued to try and communicate with both of them.
Right.
And there's been no response.
Right. Well, one thing's for sure. You care about them, and you giving needs to be without you expecting something back. That's true
Yes,
giving.
I've got to that.
Right?
Yes.
And it seems like you've gotten there. And the other piece here is I love your curiosity. You say, I say what's on my mind, and then I'm curious. If something doesn't go well, I'm wondering what happened, right? I'm wondering if they may feel really hurt about something and don't have the words you do to express themselves.
Could be. Yes, I'm
Right?
sure.
And so the way to be safe is to cut off feeling that pain.
Yes. And it's a very English way of dealing with things. If you just don't discuss
Cultural,
it.
yes, right? Don't discuss it. So I think what I really appreciate about you is that you care about them and your actions align with you showing them that. Gentleness and curiosity, I wonder if it might be that you just acknowledge, like, I know there's ways that I've been blunt and I can be blunt. What I'm learning is for some reason that didn't work in our relationship. Can we come together and maybe figure out a way, right, for this? And the other thing is sometimes you got to let go. Sometimes you really do, right?
Yes.
I wrote this book on communication, right? It's called TalkRx. And I wrote the whole book and I teach you all these tools about how to communicate effectively and reconnect and engage through conflict, right? And my last chapter, 25th chapter, is surrender. Because if you've shown up, you've been curious, you've apologized, you've tried. So, what were your takeaways from today?
Well, my takeaway, there are quite a few actually. I have to learn to be more gentle. I have to maybe approach people in a different way when there is a problem. And if all fails, then I have to surrender.
Yeah, absolutely. So amazing. And I don't know that you have to do any of these things. I think it's that you value your relationship a lot. And it would be worth it to you to expand your skill set of how you communicate. Because your bluntness has served you. And it's been fun, and I'm sure it's been funny, and I'm sure some people really appreciate it. And you do too, right?
Well, I wish I had a little more of the charm offensive at times, you know.
I love it, right?
But because when I'm in a professional setting, obviously I hopefully conduct myself
Yeah.
professionally. But if somebody in my inner circle asks me a question, I will inevitably give them my honest opinion. And it hasn't always served me well.
Well, you know what I always say? I'm all for honesty. Honesty without compassion can come across as brutality.
Yes.
Whereas honesty with compassion is the authenticity and it stimulates connection.
That's
And
very
so
good, yes.
keep what's working. Honesty is amazing and it's hard to come by. And so that's one of your very amazing traits. What you just want to do is just merge it with a little bit of compassion.
Yes.
Because you love these people. You adore them and love them. And maybe what they're going to do is have you expand your skill set of how you connect. And it's actually not about changing who you are. It's about an and, not an or. So honesty plus compassion.
An improvement.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. So if any of you have struggled and know that you're the one who comes across as blunt because you've received feedback, or there's somebody in your life who can come across as blunt and you're not exactly sure how to deal with it, I hope that you can see both sides of it from here, which is there's a beauty. I always say that, a weakness is just a strength overused. And the amazing part about this is a strength is someone is very honest, right? This is such a great strength of yours. And sometimes you get feedback in the world that it gets overused, and then you start to lose relationships or the things that are dear to you, right? So make sure that if somebody gives you feedback that you're not so keen to hear, ask yourself, how might this be a strength that's just being overused? I'd love to hear your questions and comments below, as well as drop me a tweet at hashtag Dr. Neha, AskDoctorNeha. And until next week, see ya.